I won't be the first to say it tonight because it's so well-deserved, but Amy Comstock is a star, and we're all here because of her energy and because of her commitment. You borrowed what I was going to say, but we're all saying it. The goal, the mission, the fervent desire of all of us involved with PAN is to see PAN no longer in business. Parkinson's disease is a thief. It not only steals the capabilities and the skills from those who contract the disease, but it's a thief as well for all of us who love those brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and friends who are savaged by Parkinson's disease. But as you all know, there are also people who stand out and give us energy and inspiration. Amy, I just finished Davis Finney's wonderful book, Happiness in the Pursuit. Davis Finney, a Coloradan, a famous Olympic bike racer, who's making his own charge up the mountain, literally, against Parkinson's disease. We will find a cure. We will be successful in the mission that we all hold so dear and is so compelling. And that's why I'm so honored to be able to stand up here tonight and acknowledge my colleague, Chris Van Hollen. I think Chris has forgiven me for moving over to the lesser chamber. Not yet, not yet. The windier and lesser chamber. You all who knew my dad, I know Terry Bracey's here, and Wolf Blitzer, Eleanor Clift is sitting right here. You know, my dad was always suspicious of the United States Senate. He should be, right? So if his ghost visits you, you got to tell him I did what I had to do when I ran for the United States Senate. I'm also inclined to roll out some of my father's favorite jokes about the Senate, but none of them are PG. But ask me later. He used to ask, what's the difference between God and a senator? That's not really an answer I can give you here tonight. He had a favorite story that some of you know about the senator and the white stallion. Any of you remember that story? Put your hand up if you have, because, oh, don't, Ann's heard it. Ask me about that story later. But we're here because of Chris Van Hollen. And he's one of the most decent and capable members in the United States Congress. I also came over here because he's a member of the Super Committee, Lamar. We should get a hold of him later. But he's really been there on when it's come to supporting funding for biomedical research and leading the effort to secure resources for the Department of Defense Critical Neurotoxin Exposure Treatment Parkinson's Research Program. By the way, I've always thought the complexity of that program's name is an equal measure to its importance. And he's also worked with Congressman Burgess, Dr. Burgess. If Mike was here, I'd say this to him, which is a phenomenal accomplishment because Dr. Burgess is so conservative, he's never seen anything happen for the first time. But you've got, can I say that, Chris? But they've reintroduced the National Neurological Diseases Surveillance System Act this past July, and we're carrying the same legislation in the Senate. But Chris Van Hollen is a wonderful human being. It's always been my great privilege to serve with him. Would you please acknowledge Chris Van Hollen and the Udall Award coming his way tonight?
Well, thank you very much, Mark. I have not yet forgiven Mark for leaving us in the House and going to the Senate. And I'm not sure whether your dad would or not, but I have to say we in the House see a lot of our friends and colleagues go over to the Senate, and within a nanosecond, they are just going on and on and on, and you cannot shut those guys up. Mark, to his great credit, follows in the Udall family tradition. He doesn't go on at length, but when he says something, people listen. And I really respect the time we served together in the House and continue, obviously, to work with Mark in the Senate. He's very quickly established himself there, and I really mean it when I say that I know your colleagues in the Senate and the House hold you in high regard. And your dad may even revisit some of those quotes, at least for one member of the Senate, if he thought about your service there. I should say, on the Joint Committee, we've already made history, which is that, and we in the House are very proud of this, you know, we had our first hearing and there was a big debate about how long the opening statements would be. And we kept the senators to 2 minutes on the clock. It was something very remarkable. But I want to say to Lamar Alexander, Senator Alexander, thank you for your service and all that you've done with respect to making sure that we invest what we need in NIH and in the medical research. And I also want to say to former Senator Bill Brock, thank you for your service. A special thanks to my very good friend and John Spratt. Where is John? I understand that John is here. And John, talk about one of the most decent, thoughtful members of the Congress, none more so than John Spratt. And we miss you very much. I want to thank you for supporting my effort to take on the responsibilities in the Budget Committee. Never be able to fill your shoes. And you should have warned me of just what I got myself into, John. But thank you very much for your service as well. I want to say to Diane Rehm, first of all, thank you, as always, for what you do for PAN. Thank you also for being such a voice of sanity on talk radio, among all the other noise and chatter that's out there. And I can tell you, Diane, that if you and Eleanor and Wolf had let some of us know you were going to be roasting Mort, you would have had a lot of people on the Hill signed up to join you. In fact, next time, if you auction that off to members of Congress, I'm sure we can improve the revenue coming into PAN. But Mort, very seriously, Mort, thank you for not only what you do for PAN, but what you do to bring information through a variety of media to the people of this country. I want to join Mark and others in thanking Amy Comstock, Rick, for her incredible leadership. Thank you very much. And I'm very humbled to receive this award and honored, but I think everybody in this room knows that in order to move issues to the United States Congress, what's needed is the grassroots army that you talked about. What's needed is the personal stories, the hard work of people throughout the country going and talking to their members of Congress and giving them the personal side of the story of Parkinson's. And so I want to thank you, Dr. Ann Udall. Thank you, of course, for your incredible leadership as a founding member. To Dr. Story Landis and Michelle Lane, I want to thank you. I'm very proud to have NIH located in the 8th Congressional District, but I'm even prouder of the incredible work that you, and I know a number of your research fellows here in this room, do every day on behalf of the American people. It's not an untold story because we have people in this room and others telling the story, but it is a story that needs to be told even more and every day, and that is what PAN is all about. I also want to very quickly thank Dan Lewis, a constituent of mine who I think is known to many of you in this room, who's really carried the torch for PAN in my congressional district and Maryland. Dan, thank you for your work. And I also want to remember my former boss and mentor and the person who first hired me many years ago when I went to work, God help me, on the Senate side of Capitol Hill, and that's Senator Mac Mathias, who struggled for many years with Parkinson's and was a great mentor and inspiration to me and many others. In closing, let me just say one thing, because I don't want to get into all the arguments on the deficit and the work of the so-called super committee. All I can say is after this is over, I'm going to have to go in the witness protection program. But I will say this, that this group has got to succeed for a number of reasons. Number one, I think the American people are counting on it. And I think our members, as we went around the country, said to Republicans and Democrats alike, it's very important that you demonstrate an ability to work together and get something done. The other reason, of course, is that if we don't, you're going to have this sword of Damocles come down and do across-the-board indiscriminate cuts to discretionary budget, which includes those investments in NIH, which includes the investments in the Center for Disease Control, which includes the basic functions of government that already, frankly, were already reduced just a month ago. And it would be counterproductive and short-sighted in the extreme for our country to reduce our investments there. So I look forward to continuing to work with everybody in this room to make sure that NIH receives the funds and support necessary to continue to find treatments and a cure to Parkinson's, along with other diseases in this country. I look forward to continuing to work with Dr. Burgess, Mike Burgess, who is a very conservative member of Congress, but it's a testament, I think, to the fact that there are some issues that very much unite us over party, and this is one that obviously brings people together for the common good. I look forward to working with you, Mark, to get that legislation both out of the House, out of the Senate, and onto the President's desk. And just close by thanking everybody in this room for everything you do to help make sure that we keep the focus in the United States on the important work of our scientists at NIH and other places, and especially tonight, of course, so that we can continue the work for which PAN was first established, and in the name of Mark's dad and so many others of our loved ones, so that we can find a cure and treatments to Parkinson's. Thank you all very much.